Greetings class, welcome to Duel Academy. Professor Rivas here, and today is the third and final lesson of your first class, Introduction to Monsters. Today, we will be discussing the remaining types of effect monsters, quick effects, and trigger/flip effects. So without further ado, get your deck, get your game on, and let's get started. First up, we have the quick effect monsters. These are special monster effects that you can activate even during your opponent's turn. These types of effects have a spell speed of 2, even though all other monster effects have a spell speed of 1, like we previously discussed. Since it's difficult for your opponent to predict these cards, they can give them an unexpected surprise. Now back then, they were formerly known as multi-trigger effects. So the example that we have today for quick effect monsters is Kuriboh, a very special monster. The reason why it's so special is because the king of games, Yugimoto himself, used them in his deck. Now Kuriboh is a level 1 Dark Fiend monster, and its effect reads, during your opponent's turn, at damage calculation, you can discard this card. You take no battle damage from that battle. And in parentheses it says, this is a quick effect. Which means if you're about to take damage from a battle during your opponent's turn, you can discard or send this card from your hand to the graveyard in order to make that battle damage 0, which is pretty useful. Here are some characteristics of quick effect monsters. Quick effects are classified as spell speed 2, which means they can typically be used to respond to spell speed 1 and spell speed 2 effects, which we'll discuss more in the future when we talk about chains. Depending on the effect, quick effects may activate from the hand, field, or graveyard, which gives it versatility. Key phrases that indicate quick effects include quick effects, during either player's turn, phase, or step, during your opponent's turn, phase, or step, or if it says, this is a quick effect. Here are some additional examples of quick effect monsters. First up we have Effect Veiler, which is a level 1 light spellcaster tuner monster. Now we've talked about this monster before in the past, but just to brush up, its effect reads, during your opponent's main phase, quick effect, you could send this card from your hand to the graveyard, then target one effect monster your opponent controls. Negate the effects of that face-up monster your opponent controls until the end of this turn. Next up we have DD Seeker, a level 3 dark psychic monster. Its effect reads, quick effect, you can target one face-up monster you control. Banish it until the end phase of the next turn. You can only use this effect of DD Seeker once per turn. And finally, we have Necrogardna, a level 3 Dark Warrior monster. Its effect reads, during your opponent's turn, you can banish this card from your graveyard. Negate the next attack this turn from a monster your opponent controls. This is a quick effect. Although all 3 monsters are quick effect monsters, you'll notice that they activate at different locations. For example, Effect Veiler activates from the hand, DD Seeker activates from the field, and Necrogardna activates from the graveyard. Just by reading the effects of these 3 monsters, you can see how useful quick effect monsters can be. Quick effect monsters have earned the nickname hand traps. This is because quick effects and most traps share the same spell speed 2, and can be activated during your opponent's turn. But unlike most traps, hand traps can be activated from the hand. Some of the most used hand traps are the Ghost Girls, which include Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit, Ghost Belle and Haunted Mansion, and others. Hand traps are very useful to disrupt your opponent's plays, so having a few in your main deck is highly recommended. My top recommendation is to have a playset of Ash Blossom, since it is one of the most, if not the most, versatile hand trap out there. Some other notable hand traps to include would be DD Crow, Nibiru, the Primal Being, Artifact Lancia, Drone Lockbird, and Psyframe Gear Gamma. Next up, we have the trigger effect. These effects are activated at specific times, such as during the standby phase, or when this monster is destroyed. These cards can make for some great combos, but it's easier for your opponent to predict what will happen, so they might try to stop you. For the example, we have another special card. Now this one's special because LiQWYD is a monster that Jaden Yuki himself used. LiQWYD is a level 1 light parry monster, and its effect reads, if this card on the field is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, for the rest of this turn, you take no battle damage. Now trigger effects trigger at specific times. In the case of LiQWYD, the effect will trigger when it is destroyed and sent to the graveyard. So here are some characteristics of trigger effects. Trigger effects are classified as spell speed 1. They cannot be used to respond to the activation of a card or effect. Depending on the effect itself, trigger effects can generally be activated in any phase, and trigger effects are indicated by a timing or an event-related condition followed by a colon. Here we have some additional trigger effect monsters. First up we have Achacha Archer, a level 3 fire warrior monster. Its effect reads, when this card is normal or flip summoned, inflict 500 damage to your opponent. Therefore, the effect is triggered when it is normal or flip summoned. The following example is Gambara Knight, a level 4 light warrior monster, and its effect reads, when this face-up attack position card is targeted for an attack, you can change it to defense position. Therefore, the effect is triggered when it is targeted for an attack. The last type of effect we'll be covering is the flip effect, which is actually a part of a trigger effect. This is an effect that is activated when a face-down card is flipped face-up. This can happen when it is flip summoned, attacked while face-down, or flipped face-up by a card effect. The way that we know that it's a flip effect monster is because it will start with the word flip. The example that we have for a flip effect monster is Maneater Bug, a level 2 earth insect monster, and its effect reads, flip, destroys one monster on the field regardless of position, which means that if Maneater Bug was face down and gets flipped face up for any reason, it must destroy one monster on the field. As stated before, flip effects are a subcategory to trigger effects. If a flip effect monster is attacked, flipped up, and destroyed by battle, the effect resolves after damage calculation. Thank you so much for attending this class. There will be a quiz on this lesson, so don't forget to take it. Also, your final exam will be coming soon afterwards. I hope you have a great day, and class dismissed.